you look at the investment, and I think we talked about this, economic growth in Uganda was really good, grew at 6.3%. Inflation was under control, and we talked about that. Stock market increased across East Africa. Interest rates continued to do the yo-yo. The exchange rate was interesting. It's a double-edged sword. Our Uganda shilling strengthened against the regional currencies. Good news, we have this myth that we want a strong currency. Yeah, psychologically it's very good, but sometimes it may not help us very much, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So just say we were growing up 6.3%, and the Uganda economy is going to grow even much further. There are fundamentals that are strong in the economy that we know will do that. If you look at inflation control, those are basically, and we really want to thank, really Bank of Uganda has done an amazing job. Sometimes we don't understand it, or sometimes we just say, if you look at the CBR rate, Bank of Uganda is using CBR rate to manage part of the inflation. You look at the top, and you can see that in June 2023, the CBR rate was 10%. The inflation was 4.8%. So what they did is they increased the CBR rate to 10.3%. Inflation dropped to 3.8%. It came down to 9.8%. Inflation slightly went up 4.25%, but it's well managed in terms of how they are managing this economy. And that's the economy is really, when you had this video, people from Ian Clark talking about, this country is only one way you can bring, and let me give you an example. If you could borrow $10,000 from the US, or you borrowed $10,000  5 years ago, came and exchanged it in Uganda shillings, and invested those Uganda shillings, about, that rate was around 36 million shillings. You bought a Uganda bond, and at the end of 5 years, you got back your money and exchanged back in dollars. The number shows you would have had $18,000. Not just from the return itself, but the currency held that you didn't lose any money through depreciation, which you can't say that about a lot of African currencies for that matter. So we applaud especially Bank of Uganda having done this. I think this is important, just know that we get a lot of our income from our interest rates. This was happening with the economy. In the economy, the Uganda rates went up, Kenya went down, Tanzania, a bit of a mix, but mostly down. But this is a reflection of the dynamics in that economy. When you look at the stock exchange, as we pointed out, all of them recovered. Whether it was Kenya, Tanzania, or Rwanda, they all recovered, which means you will see how that translates into our thing. Here's the Uganda shilling. Against the Kenya shilling, it basically appreciated to 27.8 from 28.7. Against the USD, appreciated to 35.94 from 37.09. Against the Tanzanian shilling, appreciated to 137 from 1.41, and then Rwanda appreciated to 2.50 against 2.83. Now, let me give you what an appreciation means in terms of the economics of it and how it impacts you. Last year, I gave an example. Let's say that there is a cow I want to buy in Kenya. And last year, the exchange rate between the Uganda shilling and the Kenya shilling was 28.7. That cow cost 10,000 Kenya shillings. So what I would do is I would get the equivalent of Uganda shillings, 28,700, exchange it and get $10,000, go to Kenya and buy that cow. But because I keep my books in Uganda shillings, I record that cow at 28,700 shillings. We are all good. This year, the shilling is 27.8. The shilling appreciated. I don't need 28,000 shillings to buy 10,000 shillings. Or Kenyan shillings, I need 27,000. I need 27 shillings. So the Uganda currency has strengthened. But Mr. Lukwaga sat there and the Hotel General tells me the accounting standards require that I reflect the proper valuation on my books. So now the cow I had recorded in my books at 28,000, I have to write it down to 27,000 because of currency. So someone said, hey, you lost 1,000 shillings. True, a paper loss, but I still have the cow. I never sold the cow. I still have that cow in Kenya. Is that the revaluation mandates that I should revalue it at the exchange rate that it has. So a very interesting thing you see with Uganda. So on one side, when the Uganda currency appreciates, we are so happy because that means that now if I want to travel, my Uganda shilling can buy more dollars than it used to buy before for me to go. But the other side of it is if we need to export, then our exports are going to be a little more expensive than they used to before. So you can see the balancing Bank of Uganda has to work with in terms of trying just to make sure that the economy remains there as it is.
The fund's assets under management increased by 17.5% from Uganda shillings 22.3 trillion over the financial 23-24 to Uganda shillings 26 trillion in the financial 24-25. Total revenue increased by 11% from shillings 3.2 trillion in the financial 23-24 to Uganda shillings 3.52 and I think Uganda billion 382 in the financial year 24-25. Members' contributions increased by 10.4% from Uganda shillings 1.93 trillion in the financial year 23-24 to Uganda shillings 2.13 trillion in financial year 24-25. I am also interested in whether the fund pays members' benefits when they are due. The fund has done very well on this metric, increasing benefits paid from Uganda shillings 1.12 trillion in the financial 23-24 to Uganda shillings 1.32 trillion in the financial year 24-25. Finally, every year I give the fund a challenge to grow and add value to its members' savings, to enable me to declare competitive interest rate. If I may take you back 5 years ago, 1, for financial 22-21, I declared 12.5%. Financial 21-22, I declared 9.65%. Financial 22-23, I declared 10%. And last year, I declared 11.5% for the financial 23-24. This year, I am glad to report that the fund has once again risen in the challenge. And I will not tell you immediately now. I would like NSSF members to note the following. 1, the interest rate I have announced, I repeat, at Uganda shillings 2.7 trillion compared to 2.0 trillion in the previous financial year. In monetary terms, this will be the largest amount credited to members' accounts in the fund's history. naye engalo ezo when someone does something good, you cheer him or her. It is above the 10-year average rate of inflation, currently at 4.2%, and the 24-25 inflation, which stood at 3.8% as at the end of June 2025.